Ben, can you hear me at home, online?
I can. Thank you very much for the audio check.
Okay.
And me as well. How's that?
Good, good. We're just
Okay,
getting
good. Thank you.
organized here.
I'm chocolated up, I am sandwiched up, and I'm no longer hangry.
And before we start, I must say that's a very impressive mustache, Director McClellan.
All right, welcome everyone to the regular board meeting of Wednesday, November 27th. I'd like to start by acknowledging that the CVRD is on the unceded territories of the Cowichan, Malahat, Subasit, Halalt, Penelakut, Staminas, Liaxin, Pauquichin, Dididot, and Patchidot nations, whose people have walked gently here for thousands of years. Mr. Robbins.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Patrick Robbins here with you again for a wonderful regular board meeting. Right? Yes, absolutely. Chair, it's just a matter of approval of the agenda. There were no changes other than we did receive the report from this morning's Committee of the Whole, and there is a recommendation under CR3 that was updated for you.
All right, so I look for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved and seconded.
Just a point of clarity, whether or not the addition on the closed from this morning's board will be added, or this morning's committee that was not finished, it was postponed to the end of board.
I understood that you recessed and that you will resume that meeting after closed board.
It was
So-
to reside within the board meeting, I believe.
So I would suggest that you likely recessed and that you'll reconvene the Committee of the Whole following your closed meeting of the board.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Elzinga nods.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
that's what we did.
So I'll call the question, approval of the agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Robbins.
First order of business are the adoption of the meeting minutes of November 13th. The recommendation that the minutes of the regular board meeting of November 13, 2024 be adopted.
Moved by Director Morrison, seconded by Director Deck. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
There is no business arising from those minutes. Moves you to public input period. I'm not sure if there's anybody in the gallery. I don't have anybody online.
Is there anyone in the gallery that would like to provide input today?
I have a question.
Please. So question period happens at the end of the meeting. Okay, great.
Then you're going to move into delegations, and it's my pleasure to inform you that you have a delegations from the Nanaimo Airport Commission, and I'm going to rely on them to introduce themselves, and I'm just going to step away and help them with the presentation.
Welcome. Yeah, Mr. Robbins is going to come. We've got some IT here too. This is great.
Everybody's help.
And then just push the button at the bottom of that microphone. There you go. Welcome.
All right, thank you. I'm Dave Devana, President and CEO of the Nanaimo Airport, and I've also got Colleen Joel here, who is your representative on our 9-member board and is also the chair of our board. And so I'm going to do the majority of the talking, but we're both here to answer any questions you may have. Okay. We'd like to do our acknowledgement. Located on the traditional territory of the Staminas First Nation and Sinamuk First Nation, the Nanaimo Airport Commission respectfully acknowledges and thanks the First Nations for the caring of these lands and waters since time immemorial. We got it over here too. Okay. This is an overview. We are 522 acres in Cassidy. We have a runway that's 6,602 feet. which I'll talk about later. We are the most centrally located airport on Vancouver Island, and we are the only airport that could be serviced by passenger rail in the event it did come to the island, and we think that's a significant thing for us to move people up and down the island to use our airport. We have a 9-member board. We have 5 entities. The CVRD is one, and Colleen is your rep. And we have 4 at-large members. And entities are not owners of the commission, but they are representatives so that we have a good representation of local government and a chamber of commerce. Who's Ben up there?
Don't worry, they can't see that.
Well, I just wanted to refer to that one slide. So this is our vision and mission, and I understand I don't have too much time up here, so I'm going to focus on our strengthen our core business and diversify our revenue. When we had COVID during, for 2 years, our revenues went down 96%, and we decided that we needed to diversify our revenue so that we could survive another COVID or anything like that in the future. The other thing that the board wanted to do is they wanted to achieve net zero by 2030 for our operations, so that was added to our strategic plan. And finally, we wanted to enhance our relationship with First Nations, and the board has made that a priority moving forward. I'm going to talk about each of those things. Nope. It's not moving forward.
Click on the slideshow.
Okay, our catchment area, so the dark blue is where our customers primarily come from, and the light blue is where passengers may come from. And if we did have passenger rail, they certainly would come from Langford, Mill Bay, those types of areas, because they would have an opportunity to get our airport probably quicker than they could get to the YYJ. But it's about 310,000 people. And we represent the Mid-Island, which is about 37% of the population. The other thing that we like to talk about is that 98% of the island is within 2 hours of our airport. And so it could be a very significant hub to move people in and out of the Mid-Island. Our current routes right now are Vancouver, Kelowna, Calgary, and we have a seasonal route to Edmonton, which means in the summer. And we would like to expand to Toronto, which we did have in the past pre-COVID and even during COVID, but now after COVID we don't. I'll explain why later. Prince George, Kamloops, and we would like Edmonton to be year-round. That is our best market. We've had the highest load factors per plane, but there is a shortage of pilots and a shortage of planes, and WestJet has simply just dropped it for the winter season. This is a chart that shows what happened from the fastest growing airport in British Columbia from 2009 to 2019 to COVID-19. I started at the very bottom of that chart, so I am going to have the greatest amount of growth in the history of the airport, but not for the good reason. And it wasn't, COVID-19 was the reason. I just didn't bring it down to 174, but basically COVID brought us back to where we were in 2009, just boom, overnight. What is our economic value to this region? The province initiated a study to look at the value of airports in British Columbia. We decided to use the same consultant to determine what our value was. And so that when we go to the province and we ask them for money, they look at our report and we say, look, this report was done with the exact same criteria that you used for your report, and here it is. So we say the direct impact is $31.6 million, and the indirect impact is $44 more million. So $75 million to the Mid-Island. And that $44 million is the tourism that disappeared during COVID-19, and all of our businesses suffered because people weren't able to come here. I like to put this report up to show you where we get our revenue. And I think people are surprised to find out that our non-aeronautical revenues are actually more than our aeronautical revenues. And the reason for that is of our non-aeronautical revenues, 67.9% of them are related to parking. So in the event that you did support passenger rail, we know that this parking number would go down, but we also know greenhouse gas emissions would go down. And it would be good for our airport because people could actually come in and they could move to their destination of choice without the use of a personal vehicle. Our carbon story. In 2019, the board was looking very closely at its carbon footprint for its operations. And when I mean our operations, I don't mean Air Canada, WestJet, Pacific Coastal. I'm talking about us, what we do at the airport related to us. And we've been counting our emissions since 2019, and we've been reducing our emissions since 2019, and we've been buying carbon offsets to make sure that we are net climate, we call it net climate positive. So we have bought more offsets than we need to actually be carbon neutral. Our goal is to be net zero, and we are well on our way to achieving net zero by 2030 for our operations. To get to be net zero, you have to encourage your partners, WestJet, Air Canada, Pacific Coastal, all of our service providers, to reduce their emissions. And the board actually has a plan to reduce their emissions as well as our emissions. Oh, I'm going to go back. We entered into a partnership with Pollinators Canada, Partnership Canada. We were the first to do this. They came to our airport, they looked at our gardens, and they removed all the invasive species with the interest of increasing the pollinators on our site. We did a pilot out front of the terminal building. We removed all of except for a palm tree. Sorry about that. We left the palm tree. But all the pollinators were increased 20 times when we completed that project, and we still have an active partnership with them. We are investing in the community. We have an array of scholarships that we provide to the Aviation Council, the universities, to all of the school districts in our area, and we give out money and encourage people to get into aviation if they can. And we also sponsor 39 different activities, and two of the major ones are the Cowichan District Hospital Foundation and the Nanaimo District Hospital Foundation. The reason we put our money into that is we believe that the infrastructure of the region needs to be improved, especially for hospital care. And we feel that if these types of major infrastructure investments are made, that's only good for our business. And that's why we do it in the best interest of everybody. What have we done in 2023? We had our first Boeing MAX 8 landed at the airport. This was a significant achievement for YCD. Pacific Coastal started to deliver service direct daily to Kelowna. This one needs to be updated. For 3 years in a row, we were up for a top marketing program with that partnership. First we were with Halifax, then we were with Edmonton, and then we were finally with the perfect pairing, we called it, with Kelowna. Meaning perfect pairing, meaning wine, food, all these things, with the Cowichan Valley being a big player. We went for we put our name forward against Denver and Milwaukee and Chicago and all these, and we won. Finally, we had the best partnership in North America for small YCD and the Kelowna International Airport. What have we been doing lately? During COVID, we didn't have a lot of things to move around. There were no planes, but we did buy a lot of equipment because the government was willing and eager to help us pay for things, so we did take advantage of that and some of the new equipment there. You'll know last year there was a big snowstorm. YVR was shut down. That little red machine there, we were open. Now, no planes came because they weren't leaving Vancouver, but we could have got a plane if they had, if the bigger airports had done their duties. We did, during COVID, there were no planes. We thought, well, this is a good time to invest in the airport. Most airports, us included, our revenues were down 96%. We decided that we are going to invest because we believe in airports. We put forward a grant for $14 million, and we got a $7 million contribution from the government when we normally get $200,000 a year. And we redid all of the airside infrastructure for the entire airport, and thanks to the board trusting us to give us the money to make it possible. You can see there's all the runways, all the taxiways redone, the runways redone. The picture in the middle is showing what it used to look like when you flew in. It looked like a lake if it was, and then we grooved the runway, and then you can see that, oh wow, that doesn't look like a lake anymore. It's a better place to land. And then finally we put concrete apron in front of the entire ATB because the big planes would come in, they'd sink into the ground. We'd actually have to tow them out. And with concrete, that's a $4 million worth of concrete right there. But we were able to get 4 parking stalls, increased to 5 parking stalls, increased our business opportunity by 25%. We've been, one of the number one things that complain about the YCD is our reliability in the winter. So we updated our lighting system. This particular lighting system, because Haslam Creek has a tendency to flood and then bring timber and then try and knock down our lights, so we put them on piles so that they were protected for the future, and this will never happen again, sort of a climate mitigation strategy. And then we put in a new rental area for the car rentals, and we brought Pacific Coastal. The key project we're working on right now is expanding our lighting to get what they call a short, simplified approach lighting system with runway alignment indicator lights. Well, what that really means is those lights that you see, those flickering lights that you see when you're trying to land a plane. One of the problems we have at the YCD is that when the planes come down, in 2009, we put in an instrument landing system, and the pilot had to decide at 652 feet if they could land that plane, that meaning that they had to see the lights. That's very high. We put in a new instrument landing system, and it came down to the green plate, which is 338 feet. And our reliability went up dramatically. But there's been new regulations, which are on the slide before, the TP 312 4th edition, which we are compliant with, and the new one, the 5th edition. And so it started to creep up to 441 feet. So last year, we had 114 cancellations between January and March related to 40 foggy day events, I'll put it that way. And so what we've done is we brought the Salzar lighting system in, the rail alignment indicator lights, and that will bring down the decision point for the pilots to 200 feet. And of course, that's going to greatly increase our reliability at the YCD. And if we did get this, the 114 cancellations would go down to 20, and it would only be affected, instead of 40 days, 3 days in a year.
Mr. Devanna, you're out of time, so I'm going to look for a motion to extend.
I only have 2 or 3 slides left.
All in favor?
Okay.
Good, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, it is hard to get in 10 minutes around this. It's about a 15-minute presentation. This is our new vision for the airport terminal. The middle part is what we have right now, where it says concessions there, which we don't really have a concession right now, but in this new plan, the idea is to increase baggage, which is on the left side of the screen, and then to provide an enhanced holding area, enhanced check-in area, enhanced arrival area. This is to provide services for over 1 million passengers. Right now we're at 375,000, but we are looking to the future. And then finally, we have a land use plan. I came from municipal government. I've been told I should plan for things. And so we have our own neighborhood plan, you might call it. And it envisions 2 intersections into the airport, one at Voles, which is where the little gas station is, and one at Timberlands, where the Staminas First Nations owns some land at where it says Gateway Commercial South. And our current intersection would be removed, and then we would have the ability to develop Gateway Commercial North and an Airport North economic development area. And this is our current advertisement to bring people in for cargo. Our cargo business has gone up 600%, and we are looking to expand cargo on the air side at the airport. And you'll see this sign, just if you're wondering, and that's it. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much. I'll look around the room for clarifying questions. We'll start with Director Deck. And Ben, I got you online too. Go ahead.
When the heat dome hit, this is my understanding, the tarmac basically got all melted. I don't know what the word is. Now, is that not the case? Because you said planes sunk in
I think,
because
well,
of weight?
I wouldn't say that that was the case. It was hot. Their planes were able to land on the runway. There wasn't a problem with the landing. But when they got over in front of the terminal bar, when there's parking, and they're sitting there for an extended period of time, and it was asphalt, they would sink into the ground about this much. And then they couldn't power themselves out of the runway. So we've now made that all concrete.
Right. But, if I may, but it was the heat that caused that or just the extra weight?
It's hot asphalt, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Director Justice and then Martman.
Thank you. You mentioned cancellations due to fog, and I guess there's also cancellations due to wind. And I know that personally. I mean, had to go back to Calgary in the middle of the night. But I guess I was wondering whether that had to do with the precision runway, and I note that you're, or the non-precision.
Yeah, we're a
runway.
non-precision approach.
And that you're looking to move to a precision
Yes.
runway. And I guess I wanted to know, what does that involve, and what difference would that make to operations and things like route expansion and reliability, and whether that has anything to do with wind cancellations?
Yeah, so basically a non-precision approach is that the pilot needs to be able to see the lights to be able to put down the plane. And a precision approach means that they're going to use their instruments to put down the plane. And so they don't need to have as much visibility as they would have needed. And so we are working towards that. It will definitely improve our reliability, and it will also improve long-term our ability to have longer flights. Same planes. There is no increase in the size of planes. We have not extended the runway. It's not longer, because some people think it is longer. And but now that a MAX 8 can land, it's what they call a narrow body plane. We will never have a wide body plane at YCD. And so we'll never do international flights to China or anything like that. But we could do flights to Toronto, to New York City, to Vegas, to Puerto Vallarta, to Cancun, using the MAX 8 type aircraft, and the precision approach would improve that situation.
Thank you. And is that a difficult level to achieve?
I just got the report today. We have what we call the TP312 5th edition transition plan, and it does lay out a number of items that we would do over a period. The report, nobody's seen it before, but I guess I can let you know. By about 2028, we could fully complete the work. It's not an outrageous amount of money to actually get there, especially if you guys wanted to kick in.
Director Martman.
Well, that was one of my questions. What's the ask? But hi, Dave. Appreciate this update, and I think you probably know one of the major concerns besides the aquifer in my area is about noise and noise mitigation. And I'm curious because I flew in recently at 1 in the morning on WestJet, right over Cedar, so maybe not Area H, but certainly it did seem like a low approach. And I know I've talked to different people about concerns on noise. So maybe you could just touch on sort of the approach of YCD to managing that for the communities that surround them.
Yeah, so what we've done, we've identified the islands, and certain areas is what we call noise sensitive areas. And so that is in the airport supplement that pilots use to determine what their flight path is going to be. And they're supposed to follow the flight path and come in avoiding those noise-sensitive areas if they can. And so that's the first thing. And we do have a noise mitigation roundtable where there are representatives in the noisy areas that sit on that and talk to us about what they think. And we do take their concerns to NAV Canada, which is the person that decides where you fly the plane, to try to mitigate some of their concerns.
And follow up if I can.
Yep, go ahead.
And I think the follow up is really maybe a little more around the tourism aspect that YCD might be able to offer, and certainly about how it could be a hub for active transportation. And do you have any envisions in that sort of future plan about incorporating whether it's the Great Canadian Trail or extensions of the Cowichan Valley Trail as it comes up, or other aspects of helping people that want to arrive and use not non-fossil fuel approaches to travel?
Yeah, okay. So the airport master plan that I did show you has a multi-use trail along the entire frontage as envisioned. We actually are working with MOTI right now to ensure that that is constructed as part of an MOU with them, which would enable us to connect to trails via our property and the MOT's property. So that's the first thing. We are very, very interested, if you haven't seen, about passenger rail and the viability of passenger rail, not cargo, just passenger rail. That's what we're interested in here at the airport. That would enable us to, our customers, to use a different form of transportation to get to and from the airport. We do work with the Regional District of Nanaimo related to BC Transit and their services, and they do stop at the airport. I would tell you that the stops don't align well with our schedule, and so nobody that was kind of getting off a plane would probably use that service right now, very few. Yeah, I think that's answered your question.
Yeah, thanks very much. That's all, Chair.
Director McClinton.
Thank you, Chair. Two questions. I got a little lost when you, just the additional revenue sources, because you talked about the parking lot decreasing. Maybe just highlight again for me what were the additional revenue sources that you're...
So we have what we call Gateway Commercial North and Gateway Commercial Central and Gateway Commercial South. So those are opportunities for businesses that support airport operations, but also support highway traffic. So we see that as an opportunity to generate new revenue. I think I primarily got hired to facilitate this happening. And then we have the Airport North Economic Development Area, which is what we are targeting for cargo and warehousing operations and those types of things. We think that this would generate probably 30 to 40% more revenue than we currently have, and would be enough to operate the airport, all of its staff, if we were successful in implementing these plans for more revenue.
Excellent. Thanks for the clarification. And just one other question, a little outside the presentation. I'm just wondering, I know Health Canada has sort of looked at airports around Canada, North America, and military installations just in relationship to PFAS and forever chemicals. Do you guys take that sort of stuff into consideration?
Yeah, we don't use it.
Even with your firefighting?
None of it. We got rid of it years ago. We use an eco foam, and we don't use that anymore at all.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Because we have Ben that is talking about water and aquifers, and so there's a number of years ago that we moved to an eco foam environment.
One more quick follow-up. Do you know if that's the case with other airports in our region?
It's a current issue in Canada that airports are being reviewed at the federal level. Some airports have acted on it already. It's not without expense, but it is a permanent, you know what it is. It's a permanent chemical and you can't get rid of it. And so, yeah, we decided to act on the board's advice like quite a few years ago. And we're thankful we have a lot of new equipment, so we don't have any bad things in them already. So, of course, I'm very proud of our climate story, even though people are not well aware of it, maybe.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming, Mr. Devanna and Ms. Joel. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right, thank you very much.
For having us. So maybe, I don't know if IT is still here or Mr. Robbins can just pull down that presentation. Okay, so we move on to my report of the chairperson, right?
Yes.
So this is my first time making my committee appointments. I did not submit anything ahead of time, so it's okay, I just read them out. And then I can.
At your pleasure.
Yeah, okay, great. So I wanted to start just by saying I'm so grateful to have all of you around this table. There's such a broad breadth of experience and interest, and you all made making this decision easy. You shared your interests. Those of you that wanted more, it made this an easy process for me and helped me to understand all of you a bit more about your keen interests. My intention is to create a really collaborative environment for all of us at the board and to build capacity around the table to really take advantage of all of the collective experience that's here. So I will start with Committee of the Whole. I'm appointing the Chair, Director Douglas, and Vice Director Martman. Electoral Area Services Committee, Chair Director Morrison and Vice Director McClinton. Governance, Chair Director Abbott and Vice Director McGonigal. AVICC Solid Waste Special Committee, Director Deck, thank you, and with Director McClinton as the alternate. Cowichan Lake Community Forest Cooperative, Director Morrison. Cowichan Watershed Board, Director Nicholson, myself, and Director Staples. Island Coast Economic Trust, also myself. Island Corridor Foundation, Director Morrison. Island Health Representative, Director Nicholson. Municipal Finance Authority, Director Wilson, with Director McClinton as the alternate. Municipal Insurance Association, Director Abbott, with Director Martman as alternate. Our Cowichan Community Health Network, Director Acton, Director Deck, and Director Martman. Parcel Tax Review Panel, Director Abbott, Director McClinton, and Director Wilson. Treaty Association Commission representatives, Director McGonigal to the Hulkaminum Treaty Group, myself to the Tumuk Treaty Table, and Director Morrison to the Diddy Dot. Vancouver Island Regional Library Board, myself with Director Nicholson as alternate. BC Social Procurement, Director Morrison. Vancouver Island Coastal Communities Climate, Director Nicholson with Director Deck as alternate. And the last one, Cowichan Housing Association Liaison, Director Wilson. So thank you all very much for stepping up, and always looking forward to the reports as they come through at the end of the year. I have one I need to write for the library. And that's it for my report.
Fantastic. You're all going to be busy. Well done. Yes, yes. We're going to move to committee and commission reports. The first one is the report and recommendation of the Committee of the Whole meeting of November 13th. Director McGonigal.
Director McGonigal, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Robbins. These are the recommendations of the Committee of the Whole meeting of November 13th, 2024. Your Committee of the Whole reports and recommends that the CBRD allocate online accommodation platform, in brackets, OAP, municipal regional district tax, in brackets, MRDT, revenues to affordable housing for the remainder of the 5-year MRDT agreement period up to the repeal date of July 1st, 2027, subject to municipal support, and that the CBRD send letters to each municipality seeking support for the continued allocation of online accommodation platform municipal regional district tax revenues to affordable housing. R2, the municipal regional district tax, MRDT, tactical plan and budget for the period January 1 to December 31, 2025 be approved. And 2, the MRDT Affordable Housing Plan for the period January 1 to December 31, 2025 be approved, subject to municipal support for the use of online accommodation platform, in brackets, OAP, MRDT for affordable housing. R3, 1, transit fares as outlined in Table 1.0 of the staff report to the Committee of the Whole on November 13, 2024 be approved for implementation effective April 1, 2025. Part 2 of that, ProPass and EcoPass fare discount programs be authorized for conventional transit. And Part 3, BC Transit in the Regional District of Nanaimo, in brackets RDN, be advised that the CBRD concurs with the proposed reduction of fares to Nanaimo / Cowichan Express, brackets NCX, Route 70, as outlined in Table 1 of the staff report to the Committee of the Whole on November 13th, 2024, and I will move those.
Seconded by Director Douglas. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed.
CR2 is the report and recommendations of the Electoral Area Services Committee meeting of November 20th, 2024. For Director Morrison.
Thank you, Chair. We have from that meeting a number of items for all directors to participate in voting, and I will take a little different tack from my colleague from Committee of the Whole. We have a number of grant and aid items and another item, R3, so I will move C1 through 5 and R3, all of which have been published, and unless anyone would like any of those items pulled, I would move those items now.
Great. Moved by Director Morrison, seconded by Director Abbott. Good. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Chair, we have 2 items here under electoral area directors only, and again, they are R1 and R2, and they were thoroughly discussed and debated at committee, and I would move R1 and R2 for electoral area directors to vote on.
Seconded by Director McClinton. Any discussion? Electoral area directors only. All those in favor? Any opposed? Director Deck opposed.
That concludes my report.
Motion carries.
We're going to move to CR3, which is the report and recommendations of the Committee of the Whole meeting from earlier today. Director McGonigal.
Thank you kindly. These are recommendation from today's earlier meeting. R1, that the MMBC, Multi-Material BC in brackets, Recycling Incorporated amending agreement to extend the CBRD's existing master service agreement and applicable statements of work to May 1, 2025 be accepted. Part 2 of that staff be directed to continue to work with other jurisdictions to complete a legal review of Recycle BC's proposed master service agreement and statements of work for the 2025 to 2029 term. And I would move those two as a parting gesture as past chair of Committee of the Whole.
Seconded by Director Morrison. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries, and we thank you for your service this last year, Director McGonigal.
We're going to move to item 10, Director Reports. And there is a report from Director Wilson with regards to the Municipal Finance Authority.
Director Wilson, do you
Madam
want to
Chair?
say anything?
Yes, please, if I may. I'm sure that all the members of the committee have read this report voraciously, and thank you for that. But I just want to point out a couple of things here which really stand out, which make the MFA unique. It was formed in 1917. Uniting the borrowing power requirements of BC's municipalities by providing a collective long-term debt issuance facility. To this day, the MFA remains unique in Canada as a world-class cooperative financial institution. And here's the big thing: owned and governed by its members for the benefit of public institutions throughout BC. We do not have any ties to the provincial or federal government, and this is the only one in Canada which has that distinction. And the MFA's continued AAA credit rating, the highest possible, is shared by few other municipal borrowing agencies or even other provinces in our country, and has not required a provincial debt guarantee to achieve it. Madam Chair, the MFA, as I said, it's unique. I'm very proud to be a part of them, and I hope that members, if they need more information, can go to the MFA website. It contains a huge amount of information. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Director Wilson, and I really appreciate you continuing the work on. Mr. Robbins.
Moving to section 11 of the agenda, staff reports. SR1 is the report from the Development Services Division with regards to application number RZ23A01. Just a note, although there's a recommendation there, it also appears in the bylaw section. So in essence, we'd take this as information, and when you get to the bylaw section, you can look at the recommendation from staff.
Okay, any questions for staff on this one? Okay, seems good. So we'll just move to
It's in the-
SR2? Because it's in the bylaws?
Correct.
Yeah.
And SR2, again, is for information as the proposed bylaw for readings. Number 4620 is also in section 14 bylaws. And so this is for your information with regards to the 5-year financial plan 2024-2028 amendment bylaw.
Any questions on this one for staff? Okay, moving on.
PH1, recommendation that the public hearing minutes with regards to the Cowichan Valley Regional District Bylaw 4602, Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw, that's 3450 Trans-Canada Highway 2024, and CVRD Bylaw number 4603, South Cowichan Zoning Amendment Bylaw Zoning Amendment Bylaw 3450 Trans-Canada Highway 2024 be received.
I have a mover, Director Morrison, seconder, Director Callio. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries.
First section of bylaws is for the entire board. The recommendation under B1 that CVRD bylaw number 4596 Carleton Water System Service Amendment Requisition Limit Increase Bylaw 2024 be adopted.
Moved by Director Morrison. Seconder, Director Abbott. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
The recommendation under B2 bylaws that CVRD bylaw number 4613 Cobble Hill Village Sewer System Service Area Amendment Boundary Extension Bylaw 2024 be adopted.
Moved by Director Wilson, seconded by Director Douglas. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Now we're going to go into section 14, which are bylaws for electoral area directors only. BEA1, recommendation that Cowichan Valley Regional District Bylaw 4591, official community plan amendment bylaw 2522 and 2528 Millville Road, 2024 be granted second reading.
Moved by Director Abbott, seconded by Director Morrison. Any discussion? All those in favor, electoral area directors only. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And the recommendation under BEA2 with regards to the staff report that was earlier under SR1, that first reading of CVRD bylaw number 4592, South Cowichan zoning amendment bylaw 2522 and 2528 Mill Bay Road 2024 be rescinded.
Moved by Director Abbott, seconded by Director Morrison. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And the recommendation under BEA3 that Cowichan Valley Regional District number 4602 official community plan amendment bylaw 3450 Trans-Canada Highway 2024 be granted third reading.
Moved by Director Morrison, seconded by Director Abbott. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, for electoral area directors only, under BEA4, that CVRD bylaw number 4603 South Cowichan zoning amendment bylaw 3450 Trans-Canada Highway 2024 be granted third reading.
Moved by Director Wilson, seconded by Director Abbott. Right? I saw that hand. Great. Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And we're going to move right into, don't see any business under items 15, 16, 17, 18, which moves us to question period.
Question period. Thank you for waiting. I know you had a question. Would you like to come up and ask?
Yes, I don't know, I've never been to a board meeting.
Sure. So, great. Director Abbott is going to help you out here. Come right up to the podium. He'll turn on your microphone for you. You'll be in the little camera. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question on R1, the development variance permit on River Bottom Road. What the outcome of that was. I didn't make the meeting last week because of the conditions on the roads.
So that was in Director Morrison's report.
Correct.
Yes, it's R1 and R2.
It was denied.
It was denied,
Yeah.
so that's not going to happen.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else that would like to ask a question? That was an easy one. Mr. Robbins.
Then we'll move to a motion that the meeting be closed to the public in accordance with the Community Charter, Part 4, Division 3, Section 90, subsections as noted in accordance with each agenda item published in your agenda today.
All right, moved by Director Abbott, seconded by Director Istash. All those in favor?